Welcome to the first match of the evening. It is Echo, and to the top left-hand corner in teal, playing Zerg for Team Hush, it's NoveaStar. And to the bottom right, in purple, playing Zerg for my Risk, it's Schnubiiii. So ZvZ, always an interesting matchup. Well, we see Schnubiiii having the newspaper reading Overlord decal, plus the Derbfester playing with his little Hellion car decal at the on the ground. So very nice here, all in cardboard style. Yeah, ZvZ, a bit of a tricky matchup, and as we can see, Novea already trying to make it a quick game one, it seems. Goes for the immediate cheese build here. Just wants to have speed out as soon as possible. That's why she went Extractor first and then into Pool. Is not trying to get a second hatchery anytime soon, while Schnubiiii, unfortunately for her, actually went into the most greedy opening for Zerg in a ZvZ, and actually in every matchup, but in ZvZ it's especially critical, by going hatch first and then into gas and then into pool. So it will take quite some time for her to get out lings, to get out speed, to get out any sort of defense here against the early few lings that Novea will be able to throw at her. And the banelings as well, that's what this drone is already getting in position for, throwing down the baneling nest. So Novea wants to play a real all-in here, just probably wants to out-micro her opponent with the first few units she wants to rally across the map. Let's see if it's going to work or not. It's looking kinda grim already for Schnubiiii. We will see if it's going to work out or not. So we already have the spawning pool out and the queen is on the way. First few lings now running across the map. Speed is only 20 seconds away from finishing. Schnubiiii in the meantime already producing a lot of lings. Has probably just realized with her overlord that no hatch has been built. So she definitely knows what's up, and now especially after seeing that all these lings are walking across the map. So the only thing she now needs to do is just get these lings back to the rest of her own lings. Who wants to throw it out and baneling immediately, probably wants to send the queen in between this little gap here to make it a bit more difficult for Zerglings to get a full surround. Yeah, now the only thing she actually just needs to do is get more lings out, but the biggest problem of course is that Novea already has the possibility to get banelings out herself. So if, I mean, there's a small timing window here where Novea can just now easily, should we be really careful, especially since Novea already has finished her speed, while she herself hasn't, and it will still take quite some time to get something done. Yeah, and of course that's just, like I said, the one timing window, the one small timing window where Novea can just deal a tremendous amount of damage, killing off queens, killing off Zerglings very cost efficiently. Schnubiiii already producing 18 more lings here. Now the lings are in the worker line, killing off more and more workers. 9 have already died. Schnubiiii would be still in a kind of okay situation if she at least managed to hold that push without getting that much more damage. More lings arriving at Schnubiii's base, more and more lings being produced, but Schnubiiii herself of course had some lings in the queue as well. So now she will be able to just send all of these lings across, but Novea is of course already ready for that. She's already preparing some banelings to intercept Schnubiii's lings. Schnubiiii has to be really careful here. I mean, she can of course produce lings of her own. I think it would be wiser for her to try to get the lings back. Yeah, Novea nicely put her banelings into the back of her own base, wanting to surprise Schnubiiii here with the banelings here. And now I think the aggression has stopped for now. Schnubiiii just gives it up immediately, realizing that her opponent just has more workers at the time, already has more army out, so she will not be able to pressure back and get back into the game. So she gives up, and Novea takes the first map for a 1-0 lead. Second map is Overgrowth. We have Novea to the bottom left, leading 1-0. And Schnubiiii to the bottom, to the top right. I don't know why I always confuse top and bottom. It's actually not that difficult. But yeah, I don't know. It's the same draw in my brain for words, so that's probably why I sometimes just grab in and take the wrong word out. Schnubiiii wishing GLHF, and Novea just you do, you do, you do, you do, you do, you do. Easy to say when you're leading 1-0, of course, and are already in some sort of ecstatic hype. All the adrenaline rushing through your veins after the first victory. And now the only thing you want to do is just crush the opponent and hear the lamentation of their women. And if you know where that reference comes from, you will have my sincerest respect for being a movie nerd. Might as well just want to put it into the chat. So, Schnubiiii and Novea already sending out overlords. Usually overlord being sent towards that high ground position, because on that high ground position it's difficult, of course, for your opponent to see the overlord. Not so much for Zerg, because they have overlords of their own. But you can always get a good look at whether the hatch has already been built, and of course you will also get a good look at the entrance towards the natural base, and it will tell you once units leave that base, because mostly if they leave the base they just take this route, and this route just leads through the view of the overlord on the high ground. So, and then of course the next overlord you usually want to send out is either one you want to later on send into the main base to get some scouting information, or you just send it towards the third base in order to check if your opponent is going for a quick third or not. In the meantime, we have Novea again just going for one base build, so nothing all too unexpected here. Like I said, it seems as if Novea just doesn't want to play too long games. She just is obviously of the opinion that she will be able to out-micro her opponent in probably most of the games. I mean, again, Overgrowth is a very short rush distance map, so of course early pools might just work out quite well. Unfortunately for Schnubiiii, once more, she just sent out a few links. We'll probably just retreat them once the Overlord realizes that some links are headed to wave. Well, she actually needs those links desperately, so she doesn't really want to waste them. Maybe she will be able... No, now she retreats them. And yeah, the biggest problem once more, she doesn't have a Baneling Nest up yet. Her speed will be later than that of her opponents. Her opponent already morphing 5 Banelings in the meantime. And Schnubiiii just doesn't have the money or the opportunity to just... That's the other big problem of the Overgrowth map, why it's so tempting to go for early pool and an all-in here, is that it's actually quite impossible to just seal everything off here. Schnubiiii just desperately tries to do that by throwing down a few buildings over here and putting most of the queens into the gaps. Has to be careful that her Lings just don't get killed by the main. And actually she's kind of lucky or doing that quite well. Lings just defending most of the push, and most of the Zerglings actually still stay alive, at least until the Baneling Nest has finished. So now Schnubiiii, of course, herself also has the possibility to morph in Banelings, and this makes it so much more difficult for Novea to actually take that game as easily as she wanted to do. So nice little defense here by Schnubiiii, and Novea just realizing that this all-in would probably not work, just went for a hatchery back at home. Will also have finished it in a few seconds, but she's already behind in workers. And behind that wall, Schnubiiii can just comfortably drone up as crazy. Same, of course, what Novea is doing right now, but she's the one who has to play catch up. And now we will see whether Schnubiiii will be able to just make use of her early gained advantage by, well, okay, just checking if a Ling is sneaking around here somewhere. She already has some Overlords in position to check for a possible third as well, just in case Novea just wanted to go like super greedy behind this and trying to just play catch-up economically, the economic catch-up game, by just getting greedy as fuck, but she didn't. So like I said, nicely done by Schnubiiii. Unfortunately for both players, they are both supply blocked right now, just making it a bit more difficult to strengthen their own advantage. In the meantime, we have Schnubiiii going into the lair. Same for Novea. Actually, her lair is almost finished. And as we know Novea usually the muta-heavy player, so we will probably see a Spire somewhere around here, with which she wants to go transition into the late game. Well, maybe not. Okay, never mind. Just goes into a Roadhorn. Maybe it's just to change things up, but this is rather unsuspected by, or unexpected by Novea. And there's the Spire. It looks as if the Roadhorn is just for safety reasons, just in case her opponent wanted to go into something she could not defend early on, waiting for the mutas to come out. But yeah, if Novea can, she usually just wants to go into Spire. So her Overlord should have seen that a third base is already going up. Seems as if Schnubiiii just feels confident enough in order to take a third, and actually she's right with that. Novea doesn't really have that many forces out, and Schnubiiii would also be easy for Schnubiiii to just take everything out that's headed her way. The most important part for Schnubiiii would be, I think, to realize that her opponent is not obviously going for a third that early on, so that a push of some sort or some two-base style might just be headed her way. The only thing she needs to really worry about are mutas at that point in time. Spire is almost done. Novea is already gathering some resources, mostly gas. Minerals are not the big problem. It just takes way longer to gather the gas resources to get mutas out. But yeah, with the amounts of resources out, she might be able to get like 7 mutas at once. And with these 7 mutas, she might be able to deal quite some nice harassment to Schnubiiii here. Just flying around from base to base, killing off whatever she can. And 8 mutas in the queue. And, well, later on, she just, while harassing her opponent, she will probably just try to produce more and more mutas until Schnubiiii just doesn't have the means anymore to kill off that mutaflock. Nice little snipe here for Schnubiiii in the meantime. Getting the third base, always very important, not only resource-wise, but also lava-wise. So now she realizes that her opponent has gone muta, might have probably just guessed it anyways. Like I said, I mean, if you just regularly watch the FSL and your opponents play, you should by now have realized that Novea just loves her mutas, so you might as well just expect some sort of muta play. Schnubiiii just has roaches out. That's the only unit she has on the field right now, except for a few lings and banelings maybe somewhere. So of course the roaches can't really fight straight up against the mutalisks, but she just wants to deal damage as much as possible with the roaches she has, while maybe transitioning into something else right behind it, which is unfortunate, or which is actually the unfortunate part here. Seems as if Schnubiiii just hopes to maybe deal crippling damage to her opponent with pure roaches here, but as we can see, the roach amount has already shrinked a lot because of these mutas raining down death from above, and now the actual only thing that Schnubiiii gets for all of her roaches are 2 spine crawlers. In the meantime, the only thing she could really do was planting down some spores and getting out a Hydralisk den. So now a lot of Hydralisks are in production. So for now Schnubiiii might be okay, but the biggest problem might be that, of course, Hydras are not as mobile as mutas are, so of course she needs some static D, which she already has. Okay, quite nice here having some queens and some Hydras in position, so she might be able to actually even get a 1 or 2 mutalisks down, but Novea still feels comfortable to fight against these mutas since they just get out 1 by 1, and since she doesn't want to wait for the Hydralisk count to reach a problematic amount, so she just takes out or just stands inside the production line, takes out any random Hydralisk she can get, and once the Hydralisks are gone, she can just start raining death onto the ground units once more. I think that's actually the best move that Schnubiiii can make here, just forcing her opponent back with the mutas. Maybe sniping that hatch down here, because it's just done. There's not much on the ground anyways. I mean, the roaches are still pretty slow here. Lings arrive at the third base, take out some workers here. Now she just focuses down the hatchery. Let's see if she can get it. She might actually be able to get the third, but she really needs to produce some units herself in the meantime. I mean, Schnubiiii is not up in workers, but she has 3 bases. That should actually be better saturated, but the income difference is not as big as it should be. So that's the only unfortunate part, and we can see why, because the third base is there, but it's never been saturated. And that, of course, is a big problem for Schnubiiii right now. She has the additional lava, but she just doesn't have the additional income, and Novea just hasn't lost almost any any kind of army unit here. So now taking a third base down here in the meantime, hoping that Schnubiiii will not see it and not think about it, and so far she hasn't. So again, more and more units just walking across the map. Schnubiiii just wants to get out a decent amount of Hydralisks to take down the Mutas, but Novea has already anticipated that and is now producing a lot of Banelings, which she will be able to just run right into the Hydralisks and take them out. So Schnubiiii would have actually just needed to either focus fire down the morphing Banelings, but she just couldn't. And now the Banelings run in, kill all of the anti-air, and now only the Mutalisks are left. All of Schnubiii's standing forces are gone, and the Mutas just reign supreme freely inside Schnubiii's bases. The only thing she now needs to do is make sure that the Muta, or the Hydralisk count, never gets up once more. GG, and Novea takes the 2-0 lead. We're back on Daybreak for the third map of this best of 5 series. Spawning to the top right hand corner in teal is NoveaStar, and to the bottom left in purple we have Schnubiiii. Let's see what Novea is doing this time around. Seems as if she just wants to go into early links once more, and will try to end the game as soon as possible once again. And again, I think it's a good map for that. We have, well, the rush distance the rush distance is actually not as small as this map might make you think it is, but we have a very wide open entrance towards the natural base, which makes it pretty problematic to deal with these kinds of early pushes. If you go hedge first, which Schnubiiii does once more. So last time on Overgrowth she was able to seal everything off with buildings before the great push arrived. I don't really think she will be able to do that once more. As you can see, you need, first of all, you need creep close to that edge, and the creep actually does not spread as far. You would actually have to have queens out already spreading some creep, because the creep should actually only go out till here, so I think it shouldn't be able to actually close everything off with buildings with the creep only coming from that hatchery. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, and also you would need way more buildings, and for that you need way more drones, you need way more resources at that point in time. Resources you then cannot put into queens, into units, into everything else, so it might just snowball once more, and Novea just preparing like crazy for her initial push. Is already getting the Baneling nest out, just wants to wait with all of her Zerglings as long as possible, as long as the... or just shortly before the metabolic boost research is done, and then she will just move out so that the metabolic boost will finish once she arrives at her opponent's base. Let's see what's going to happen. So Schnubiiii should now realize what's up and that her opponent is already moving out with her links. Let's see how she's going to react. She's already realized what's going on. Just gets the Baneling nest out as soon as possible. Also produces more and more links. Also wants to have a queen out, which she then again can put into the gap between the hatchery and the Baneling nest to protect it a little bit better from getting surrounded by links. But yeah, Novea already morphing some Banelings, and Schnubiiii hasn't got the chance to do that herself. Metabolic boost will just finish in a few seconds. I don't know how much I like this moving out. Like I said, she should actually know that her opponent is already, or should have already finished metabolic boost by now, so berserking speed. Okay, that would actually be nice getting that overload over here, because getting supply blocked at that stage in the game would be pretty problematic for Novea. But of course the important thing is, where will these Banelings hit? And if they just hit the right amount of links, it will probably just end the game right now. So unfortunately Schnubiiii has just lost everything here. Will now also lose the additional queens. More Zerglings are in the making. Schnubiiii also has 6 Zerglings in the making as well. Just wants to get a spine crawler, but it will probably get chewed down before it can even get up. So 14 more links for Novea running across the map. Finally Schnubiiii has just gotten her own links out and also has speed, so she might just be able to drive Novea away for now. But Novea in the meantime has also gotten her hatchery, so she could even get back and try to play a macro game from here. She has just evened out everything by now. So let's see, maybe she just wants to lure Schnubiiii into some sort of trap here, but it seems as if Schnubiiii just doesn't fall for it. Gets the Xel'Naga Watchtower, might just want to send... oh no, actually she just sees everything with her Overlord here. So never mind, she also retreats for for now, or maybe just wants to get back again, but Novea should have seen that already. I think it's really not a good idea to just pressure her once more. Maybe she just wants to check for a third, but the Overlord sees it anyway, so maybe she just wants to get in a little bit later. Maybe wants to morph some Lings or some Banelings of her own. And okay, just taking out one Baneling here with one Ling, so nice trade over there. In the meantime, Schnubiiii has already managed to get some drones out behind this, so she's even leading economically, so she might just get back into this game once more quite well. So the defense didn't quite work as intended, I think, but it was okay, and she can just get into a macro game after right behind this. So let's see what she wants to do. Getting an early lair already, but her opponent has got an even earlier lair. So like I said before, she should know, Schnubiiii should know for certain that Novea wants to go into Mutas. This is again just the safety Roachhorn, in case Novea just realized that her opponent goes for an early timing push she wouldn't be able to hold with only Aspire incoming, but not having finished at the time the push actually hits. So getting a Spine Crawler out, all just the good defensive measures that will help her to stay alive until Aspire finishes. But like I said, I mean normally that's what Novea does. She usually just wants to go into an early Spire. Unfortunately she can't really, because she's still on one gas and is now only taking a third one. So maybe it seems as if she just wants to change it up a little bit and this time actually go into Roaches and maybe even Ravagers. So unexpected, an unexpected change here, and that is probably what she just wanted to do, not just being all too predictable and going into a Roachhorn and this time actually using it even. So Schnubiiii in the meantime just wants to get a third base, should realize that her opponent has not taken a third one yet. So again, she has to prepare for some sort of two-base timing push, and that would actually be what she wants to scout for at that point in time, just seeing what is up. So another Overlord just flying in, seeing the Roachhorn wiggling would be superb at that point in time, realizing that her opponent is probably going for some sort of road push. So now finally all 4 gases have been taken, more and more gas being collected. So like I said, she just wants to wait a few seconds more, maybe even getting a third base right now, but Schnubiii's already in position to intercept the drone and will probably delay the base even a little bit more. So now actually, yeah, just running across, killing off the drone. Nice catch here by Schnubiiii. Unfortunately the supply block once more at a very problematic time, but there are the rest of the Overlords coming out, so now she just has supply for ages. Okay, Lings killing off the Lings of Schnubiiii down here, and now finally they will be able to take a third base, while Schnubiii's third base has already finished. And Schnubiiii this time around probably still suspecting Mutas to come out, again, especially since she's only seen Zerglings so far. In the match. She will probably just expect her opponent to go Mutas once more, so she just wants to have some safety spores in any case, and is now already getting, or already going into Hydralisk. Still, I don't really see Novea winning that game yet. I mean, yes, she's up in supply, she's up in workers, that's actually the most problematic part right now. I think Schnubiiii just being too paranoid, fearing that Novea would come in with Mutas like every moment, now producing 15 drones at once. Yeah, no problem holding this little Ling push over here. Queen just getting creep out. We have a small Roach Ravager force for Novea thus far, but a lot of things are being produced. Hydralisk then, which will probably get morphed into a Lurker then straight away once it finishes, I think. I think that Novea really wants to go into quick Lurkers here. I think that would also be an excellent decision for Schnubiiii to just get into a Lurker den as quickly as possible. And then just getting, and there it goes. So never mind, like I said, would be a great idea. And she just does it right at that point in time. Yeah, this force should actually be no big threat for Schnubiiii here. A little bit of micro work should just easily kill off everything here. She just has to avoid the corrosive bars, and I think then the Hydras being the big damage dealers from the end. Well, actually there's not much muscle in front of them, and it seems that Schnubiiii has just lost most of her roaches who were covering for the Hydras, and Novea just breaks through with too much force, and Schnubiiii has to give up 3-0 for Novea here.